What's going on? Welcome back to another episode of the Craftavore Tastes. I'm your host, Max. Sorry, another little hiatus that I had to take. So, a long awaited new episode of the Craftavore Tastes. The reason being, I got sick again. Yeah. So, this is what happens when you have a child under the age of 2 who goes to daycare, picks up every single virus known to man, then comes home and sneezes and spits in your face. Yeah, so got knocked down for a couple of days again, so I do apologize in the delay in reviews and episodes, but feeling better, so let's go ahead and get a new one up and running, and it is a new beer, actually. So, big shout out to my man Rob. Rob actually sent me a comment in, I think it was a counterweight video, if I'm not mistaken. And he was like, hey man, Connecticut is doing some awesome beers. Would you be interested in trying a couple from, my area of Connecticut? And I responded back to Rob and I said, yes, sir. I would absolutely love that. So Rob was super kind enough to just pack up a quick box for me, send it across, and it included some amazing Connecticut breweries that are local to him. And in his note, he actually mentioned specifically, don't sleep on those Relic beers. So I decided to do first episode, of his box or beers from his box, on one of those Relic beers. I wasn't super familiar with the brewery, and it's always fun to dive into new beers and breweries that you've never had before. All right, so this beer is coming, as I mentioned, from Relic Brewing. They are located out of Plainville, Connecticut, but it appears that this beer was brewed and canned at Thomas Hooker Brewing Company in Bloomfield. So, if you live in the southern New England area or, New York, I think portions of Mass, you might be familiar with Thomas Hooker. So I guess these guys are brewing and canning out of there. This beer is actually called Violet Ray. So Violet Ray is a 7% IPA brewed with Citra and Mosaic. So already got the beer poured out into a glass. So let's go ahead and go through the drill, man. Let's take a look at the appearance. Let's get the aroma. We'll taste it, and then we'll rate it. All right. So beer pours like a super kind of nice orange, medium to medium plus orange gold color. Full on New England haze. As I mentioned, I'm not very familiar with Relic beers at all, so I don't know if they're all of their hoppy offerings or all of their IPAs are in the New England style, but this one obviously is. Looks super nice, man. Looks really, really good. Poured actually just a couple of seconds ago before I started the video actually itself, so I'm just going to try to get myself ahead there. Yeah, so similar to like when I first poured it, just got about a finger of kind of like really nice kind of like creamy, almost borderline like off-white kind of eggshell head going on there. Looks amazing in a glass, so let's go ahead and get an aroma. So I think I mentioned that this beer was brewed with Citra and Mosaic, right? So, yeah, straight up out of the nose, that Mosaic leaps out of the glass. So I get a tremendous amount of berry notes. Yeah, getting a bit of tropical fruits in the form of like pineapple. Oh, yeah, and then like in the middle there's like a little bit of like earthy, kind of dank, like resiny, like pine going on there as well. Yeah, I love that kind of earthiness that just kind of ends up there, like middle of like the aroma. Like as I said, it's straight up kind of like berry and pineapple up front, and then as you kind of like dig in a little bit deeper, it follows up with that kind of like dank resiny pine, which is super kind of awesome. Smells great. And let's go in here and get ourselves a taste. Rob, thank you so much, sir. Cheers. Ooh, wow. First thing, dig that mouthfeel, man. Wow, that is, man, that's super, super nice. It's got like a nice kind of creamy, almost kind of hop oily kind of mouthfeel going on. That's really, really nice for a beer that's basically, I mean, 7%, right? So, 7%, and lower kind of IPAs, tend to obviously not have a little bit of that creaminess or that hop oiliness in the mouthfeel. This has it, which is super nice. Taste again is a bit more kind of pineapple kind of forward. And then very, very quickly transitions a bit more into that kind of dank kind of pine resin slash grapefruit thing going on. Middle of the palate, it does tend to have a bit of some lingering bitterness that's going on. But I kind of like that, right? Like most New England style IPAs that I've been having recently is going to be on the spectrum of like those super juice bombs, right? This isn't. Like it definitely has obviously that tropical fruit kind of note up front, but it then kind of follows in with a little bit of earthiness, a little bit more grapefruit, a little bit more pine, even almost kind of like an herbal kind of florally, like herbally kind of florally, almost grassy lemon thing kind of going on there in the middle. Going back in for another taste. I dig it though. Yeah, this is kind of like this is gonna be a really silly thing to say, but hopefully people understand it. It's like a New England style IPA. IPAs like it has like some traditional kind of IPA bitterness to it, which kind of differentiates it a little bit from the actual style. And I'm kind of digging that. Like I'm kind of digging that kind of change. Like I think that's super super good. Yeah, that lingering bitterness. One thing I will say is that the beer kind of does dry out pretty quickly back on the back end, and that kind of bitterness does. It's not astringent, but that bitterness kind of translates slightly a little bit more towards maybe pithy, kind of like orange rind or like a grapefruit rind on the back end. Going in for one more taste. Boy, but I do dig that mouthfeel for a freaking 7% IPA, man. I'll tell you that. All right, so let's go ahead and give this one a rating. Straight up, 4.25 beer. Nice job, Rob. This is really, really good. You were right. Don't sleep on those Relic beers. I really freaking dig it, man. Like, at the end of the day, there's a lot of traditional New England style IPA elements to it, but they are throwing in some things that do kind of make it slightly kind of different and a little bit kind of like I don't know, fresh and, generally kind of unique to some degree. Really awesome beer. So 4.25 for the Craftavore Tastes. I hope you join me again for another episode where I drink, I review, I rate, and I repeat. Cheers.